What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a hump day edition of Morning Scone, presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, and Hudco Roofing, hudcoroofing.com. Hope you're all having a fantastic morning. Please like the page, share the post, 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 and if you are on YouTube, please hit the like. As I mentioned, hitting the like button on YouTube is just massively important as we grow this show on that platform. The way that YouTube lets people know that we're here is if they see, oh, look, people who are watching this kind of like it. And so that's how they tell by hitting the like button. So thank you so much. Okay, let's see, y'all. LSU baseball gets a win last night. They beat ULM, who candidly is not a very good team. But a couple of good things that we saw last night from the baseball Tigers. Really nice to see Cade Beloso continue his run offensively. Beloso, I went and looked it up last night during the game. Beloso, when they finished the Vanderbilt series, was hitting 202. And going into last night, Cade Beloso was hitting 257, excuse me, and doubled in his first at bat. So, and he was 1 for 3 in the ball game. So, continues to increase that batting average, which is great to see. Let's see, he is at 259 now, which is fantastic to see. As we've said all along, they need him to hit, so that's great. Alex Milazzo got the start defensively. I am so baffled, y'all. I mean, I'm not, because I know the culprit is that people don't actually watch the games, don't really know what they're looking for. But there continue to be people who persist in having this Travinski-Milazzo debate. And it boggles my mind every time because, and by the way, so I tweeted last night, nice to see Milazzo having productive at bats. It's good to see. I'm not saying he's gonna hit 250 this year. I'm not saying he's a good offensive player, but he did have 2 RBI last night. He had a 2-out single, which scored a run, and then with a runner on third, he had a ground ball to the right side, fielder's choice, RBI. That's a productive out. Like, you're not getting that if you're striking out. And it's good to see him putting the ball in play to the other side, which is something we talked about on AFR yesterday. So, yes, he's having more productive at-bats. It just boggles my mind that people can't see. And someone was actually trying to make the case that Travinski was a better defensive catcher, which I just had to disengage there. I'm like, I can't talk to you. You don't actually watch the games if you're legitimately going to make that case. But in any event. Okay, let's say some good mornings. Let's see what y'all got. Trivia Carter, Cliff Nelson, Breezy Bro, Nicholas Cantrell, Jerry Spurgeon. What's up, Spurge? Good to see Spurge back here. Spurge was a Facebooker who punted Facebook, was waiting for us to start the show on YouTube, and now he's here on YouTube, which is great to see. Kirk Taylor, good morning. Chris Williams, Bubba Tatum is free from Facebook jail. That's great to see. Congrats on your newfound freedom, Bubba. Jonathan Martin, good morning. Kelly Gross, good morning. James Tyrone, Nashville, rockin' Scone. Good to see you there, James. Hope you're having a great morning. John Bro, good morning. Kyle Gallo, the irony of how all these peeps screamed about midweek games matter, and now that's all they can win. Hope they're pleased with the important wins. Thank you, Kyle. I had Buzzy Heidel on AFR yesterday, and he kind of joked about that. And I said it yesterday. I'll say it here. I'll say it. We are never having that conversation again. Nobody can ever come at me ever again with the midweek games matter BS, because they've won every midweek game this year, and nobody cares because those games don't matter. What matters is your conference record. I've said it forever. That's it. That's it. Period. That's it. You could go 0 and a bajillion in the midweek, but if you're 20-10 in conference, you're a national seed. Period. Don't anybody ever bring to me ever again, ever, any nonsense about midweek games. Don't want to hear it. Not interested. Let's see. How about Saints Fanatic 467 on Twitch? Morning, Matt. Love the YouTube Saints videos. Are you answering Saints questions? Yeah, man. So welcome. Morning Scone. If you look at the description there, episode 1123, we've done this 1,123 consecutive days. It has largely been a Facebook show. It originated as a YouTube show, moved it to Facebook, and now it's on both. But absolutely, the format here is just post whatever you want. I mean, within reason. I mean, we're not going to like get vulgar or anything. You know what I mean? But yeah, got a question? Fire away. The headline or the title description there is just a suggestion. So, yeah, man, ask away. Fire away anything you got. Any comments? Just hit me up. Stephen Miller, good morning. Stephen, you might be a few minutes late. There was a guy on Twitter last night who was actually trying to make the case that Travinsky is a better defensive catcher than Milazzo. Kaleem B, good morning, locked in this morning. Thank you, Kaleem. Appreciate that. Glad to see you here. Chris Williams, brothers, no debate or comparison between Milazzo and Travinsky. Milazzo should be in the games for his defense only. So this is my point, Chris, is yes, and this has been the point all along, neither guy is hitting the baseball. Travinsky's batting 193 in conference play. By the way, he had a pinch hit at bat last night, 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Neither guy is hitting. Okay. If neither is hitting, and there is a very clearly better, borderline elite defensive prospect at a premium position, give me the glove. That's Milazzo. If Travinsky were hitting 350, okay, this team needs offense. I'll take a little bit of a liability at catcher, but Travinsky isn't. And Milazzo is so much better as a defensive player. And this person went and looked at the stats and was like, look, well, they have the same amount of errors and one difference in pass balls. I'm like, okay, first of all, now you're just not watching. You're not watching the game. Milazzo got charged with an error last weekend, if you were actually watching the game. Run on first, steals second, Milazzo pops, throws to second, nobody covers the base, so the throw goes into center field. On the stat sheet, that's an error. In reality, your second baseman is an idiot. Didn't cover the bag. That's the problem. And if you were watching the game Thursday night, Marceau got charged with 3 pass balls. I think Brian Lazar is the official scorer at LSU. He was, I don't know if he still is. He should be openly mocked for awarding those wild pitch, as awarding those as wild pitches to Marceau instead of pass balls. There was literally an inning where LSU had to get a 4th out because Travinsky couldn't catch a strike 3. It went to the backstop, and the runner got first base. Oh my God. The fact that I even have to have that, that just annoys me. The fact that I even have to have the conversation about who's the better defensive catcher. We got a runner. Brandon English, morning, Matt. Signed up to get alerts from YouTube. It's not alerting me. Interesting. You hit the bell, the notifications. If you hit the bell, you should get it. Manny Troncoso, good morning. How's Drew? Drew's doing well. Thanks. He's sleeping right now. But Drew's doing well, man. Happiest little kid you'd ever see. All things considered, we're blessed, man. Thank you. Kirk, but this bunting matter. Get out of here, Kirk. Dale Broussard, please don't celebrate Milazzo getting a couple hits in the midweek game. Dale, I'm not celebrating it, but understand what I'm saying here. You're talking about a guy, what I want to see in those games is progress, okay? What I want to see is, okay, you're striking out. So when you're having trouble striking out, now baby steps. What I want to see is you putting the ball in play. And the best way to do that is shorten up and go the other way. Hit everything the other way. So you're letting the ball come as close to you as possible, getting as much information, and so you're going to push the ball the other way. 2-out base knock, it's a clutch hit. Runner on third, LSU has struggled in situational baseball all year. What I didn't need him to do there is strike out or hit it in the air on the infield and have a play at the plate. All he did was just put the ball on the ground to the right side, run scores. They tried to turn 2, threw the ball away. He ends up on second base. That's progress. I'm not celebrating. I'm not saying put his number up there with Todd Walker and Eddie Furnace and Ben McDonald. I'm just saying I want to see progress and I'm seeing it. It's okay to get better as the season goes along. Ryan Dixon, Travinsky uses a wooden mitt. Maybe Ryan, maybe you can go on Twitter and have the conversation with the fellow last night who seemed to believe Travinsky's a better defensive option than Milazzo. Okay, Steven, I bowed out when Travinsky entered the gate. I don't know why this is still a conversation for some people, but it is. Okay, Saints Fanatic 467. How big of a need do you see the linebacker position with the Saints compared to cornerback? I feel like nobody's talking about linebacker position enough. So it's crazy. We lost Anzalone and Quan. Even if we re-sign Quan, nobody knows if he'll be 100%. So great question. Quan, actually, I'm not sure if you saw, but Quan posted a video yesterday on his IG of him running full speed, which was great to see. Which really gives you hope that he'll be back from that Achilles for the start of the season. How big of a deal is linebacker? Huge. But so is boundary corner opposite Lattimore. And so is nose tackle, and so is defensive end. Like, they lost starters at every level of the defense, right? I mean, you lost Malcolm Brown, Sheldon Rankins, Trey Hendrickson. You lost 3 starting defensive linemen. You lost, obviously, Quan, and then Janoris Jenkins. So I think everyone's talking about corner because you don't have another option there opposite Lattimore. But my point is, I think, so yesterday Kuiper and McShay had a dueling mock draft where they alternated picks and it was through 3 rounds. And they had the Saints take in Rashad Bateman, the wide receiver out of Minnesota, in round 1, which I would hate, by the way. But then they had him going Jabril Cox in round 2, which I would love. My point is, I think you can get Mike Detillier said this is the deepest mock draft, or the deepest wide receiver draft he's ever graded. One man's opinion, but this guy's been doing it for 30 plus years, so I'll trust his opinion. If nothing else, to say that it's a really deep draft at receiver. I can get receiving talent later in the draft. My whole thing is I need a starter at every level of my defense. At 28, I am taking the best defensive player on the board because when you look at the glut of offensive players at the top of this year's draft, it is natural. There will be defensive players that get pushed down. When you look at potentially 5 first-round quarterbacks, plus Kyle Pitts, plus Penei Sewell, plus Jamar Chase, plus Devontae Smith, like in that Kuiper McShay thing I referenced, I believe 14 of the first 15 or 13 of the first 15 picks were offensive players. So it's just numbers. There's only 32 picks in round 1. There's only 27 picks ahead of the Saints. So you're going to see great defensive players drop. There's going to be a defensive player there at 28 who should not be there at 28. That's all there is to it. So go with the best defensive player on the board at 28. If it's a linebacker, awesome. If it's a corner, perfect. If it's a defensive lineman, okay. If someone like Deron Payne from Alabama drops and you got a chance to get a dominant interior defensive lineman, boom, done. I'm sold. Just get me a starting defensive player at 28. And then maybe you re-sign Quan. Maybe you get a linebacker in round 2. Whatever it may be. Like, I think they're going to take multiple corners in this draft, by the way. But you've got picks, you've got collateral to do it. Just give me the best defensive player at 28. Steven, I'm not even listening to the debate anymore at Catcher. That's the least of my concerns. Unfortunately, I have to because these idiots are all up in my Twitter mentions endlessly. Cliff, if you have an Apple Watch, the notification will go there first, not your phone. I do have an Apple Watch, but I didn't get a notification on my phone. I got an email when my thing goes live. My YouTube goes live. Cliff, Matt, you're giving too much energy to the catcher issue. This shouldn't be a conversation. That's my point, though, Cliff. It shouldn't be a conversation, but you have people that are still making this a debate. And I'm like, how is this even a debate? It's exhausting. Thank you, Trivia. Look at Trivia doing his job as our moderator here. Hit the like button. So 12 watching, 10 likes. So if you're watching right now and you've not hit the like, please hit the like. I cannot tell you how important that is on YouTube. And also on Facebook, like the page, share the post, like the page, share the post, like the page, share the post, like the page. Share the post. Kirk, someone actually made that comment. Yes, I woke up, turned on the game in the ninth. Travinsky's in the game. Runners on, pass ball, runners moved up. Yes, that's basically what happens every time he's in defensively. Chris, give me a defensive catcher any day of the week. There's a reason why many catchers are batting in the 9 hole. Bingo. Chris Williams, any Hutco hats left over from the hat party? Yes, there are. And several of those will be going out. Ryan, Travinsky blocks like Deculus. Oh, no. Oh, no. I'll tell you what, though. Derry Beckwith made a really good point on AFR. He said move Deculus to guard. Big guy, big like road grader like that. I mean, he's got concrete shoes, so he'll never play tackle at the next level, but he could slide inside and play guard at the next level. That was an interesting thought. But Chris, to answer your question, yes. And Chris, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I saw you commented on the Hudco Instagram, maybe? Because you're up in the 318. So, and Sherry Hudson of Hudco fame said that she'd make sure she got you one. So message like the Hudco account back, and she'll get you one. Paul Batts, morning from Houston, 48 degrees, blah, 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 blah. It's 50 here, no thank you. I'm bottling this up, no thank you. I have no desire to go back to 48 degrees. Let's see, will the Saints draft another LSU player during my life? It's now like a running joke. Well, they drafted Will Clapp a couple of years ago. I mean, if being technical. So they have done it. And I know it's the running joke, but it's a thing that I talk about every year. One year I went and did a deep dive into this. I went and looked at NFL teams that have a major college football program in their proximity, like LSU and the Saints. And so I looked at like University of Miami and the Dolphins. I looked at University of Wisconsin and the Packers. I looked at like University of Georgia and Atlanta, the Falcons. You get it. And there is absolutely no correlation between teams drafting players from the local university. I think I looked over like a 25-year span. Maybe I went back to like 1990. I think the Packers maybe had the most with like 5 Wisconsin players over 30 years. I mean, that kind of thing. So we all think like, oh, they should draft our guy here, whatever. You don't know. Hang on one second. Roger's backpack speaking. Hang on. Ooh, it's almost 8 o'clock. Ooh. Just like 5 more minutes, y'all. It's always shout out to Brock and Hudco. If you're on Facebook, both are tagged in the post. Please like their pages as well. Back to the point about Saints and LSU. Number one, you never know how a team's draft board looks, and also like what their needs are. For example, everyone always said, man, the Saints could have drafted Jarvis Landry. Yeah, they could have drafted Jarvis Landry, but they took Brandon Cooks in round 1 that year. There was no way they were taking a receiver in rounds 1 and round 2. Everyone says Patrick Queen last year. Yes, they certainly could have taken Patrick Queen. I would have loved it if they had taken Patrick Queen. However, they also knew that they were cutting Warford as a cap casualty, and so they were going to need an interior lineman. I mean, but okay, that was a need as well. And they were able to sign Quan Alexander in free agency. So I think they traded for Quan, actually. Anyway, point is, yes, they could have taken Patrick Queen. It would have been great. But they also needed a starting offensive lineman. So you just never know how the board looks and what their needs are. It just doesn't really always work out like that. You come live in ice prison a few months, you'll be changing your tune. I hate the cold. Thomas Lamont, best LSU team ever. They sure are making a case, undefeated midweek games. Stingley being experimented at wide receiver, is this true? So, Paul, I haven't asked about Stingley playing wide receiver. I know a lot of people have. I just think it's stupid if they do. You've got so many guys who are struggling to find a way to get the ball to everybody who is playing wide receiver. And I don't need Stingley at wide receiver. I don't need Stingley's ACLs at wide receiver. I don't need some overzealous safety trying to take a cheap shot at Stingley coming across the middle. I don't need Stingley returning punts. I need Stingley being the best bleeping corner in the world, locking down everybody's number one. That's what I need. And when the defense isn't on the field, I need him catching his breath, looking at defensive coverages, getting set for the next series, not running go routes. No thanks. Not that he can't. I just don't want him exposed. I want him being a great defensive player. I got fast guys who can go run routes. That's why they have scholarships. Rhoda Yule, in any debate next year if they get the Moeller kid to campus. I guess that's catcher maybe. I don't know anything about baseball recruiting. Sorry. Don Jolibois, good morning. Scott Watson, you should do a live show attraction one Saturday or Sunday morning. Like from the baseball fields. Let's see. Saints Fanatic 467 on Twitch. How many games do you give Stan Van Gundy before he's out of here? Or should I say how many games will it take the Pelicans before they finally click? So I said yesterday, and I mean it, I'm in full-on tank mode. I want them to lose out. By my calculations, with 14 games to play, they could still drop 4 more spots in the league standings, thus increasing their chances at getting a favorable draw in the lottery in a very deep draft. So, to your point about Van Gundy, I'm not a fire the coach guy. I'm not saying coaches have lifetime contracts and eternal rope, but I'm not the knee jerk when things are going bad, just fire the coach. But what happened with Bledsoe the other day is inexcusable. The fact that they keep blowing leads late is concerning, and I think a lot of that does fall at the feet of Van Gundy. I'm not saying you fire him right now. But I will say, if a better option presents this offseason, I'd be okay with moving. He was supposed to come in and make them better defensively. Remember, that was the whole thing. Young team, needed some. Gentry was a little too much of a player's coach, too friendly. They needed someone who's a little firmer. And so you go get Van Gundy, and they're worse defensively. It's baffling. When Bledsoe is acknowledging he's not paying attention in the huddle, in a timeout, and it cost you a ball game because you let the Knicks get up a shot with 7 seconds left when all you have to do is foul and not let them shoot a 3 and it costs you a game. That's a problem. And I agree with you, by the way. Bledsoe needs to be on. That is a fireable offense. I would cut him. He's not a good enough player to warrant that type of mistake. You don't get to acknowledge you weren't paying attention in the huddle in the final 7 seconds. No. Let's see if Deculus moved to guard. I'd prefer Wire at right tackle. Who do we see as the best right tackle option? Well, I can tell you Doomerville is the next tackle. They were kind of hoping Doomerville might push Dare Rosenthal at left tackle. And I don't think they're going to move Deculus from right tackle just because he's started there for 4 years and they're not going to move him now. It was more of at the next level. That's his best shot because he won't be an NFL tackle. No way. Any more? Okay, I think we're done, y'all. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please like the page, share the post on Facebook, like the page, share the post. If you're over here on YouTube, please hit the like button. Much appreciated to everyone who continues to watch and like and share and all that sort of stuff. And that's going to do it for us. So y'all have an awesome day. Locked on LSU podcast coming up around 10 a.m. If you are not yet subscribed to the Locked on LSU podcast, please do so. However you get your podcasts. And AFR3. Okay, y'all. Peace. Have an awesome day. Later.